Hello, it's the Badminton Painter, and I wasn't fully happy with the video I did yesterday of the Reaper Titan. It was a bit sloppy and the paint job didn't turn out as good as I wanted to. So I was considering redoing it, but then I discovered that I had these Questoris Knights. So let's paint these up. I couldn't really figure out what color scheme I would use for them, but I was already doing Death Guard for the Kratos tank, so let's do some Death Guard Knights. I start out by basing them or spraying them with lead belcher, because there's going to be a lot of metal parts on this that are going to be incredibly hard to reach without screwing up the existing paint job. So that's why I went with that, and the paints I was going to put over would pretty much cover it. I gave it a quick wash with non-oil, and then I went back to Rackard Flesh. The base layer of Rackard Flesh, it's okay if it's sloppy and a bit uneven, because I want these guys to look dirty. So someone mentioned in the comments about destroying the details on these models, and you can easily do that with adding too many coats and too thick layers, but when it dries up, it actually it thins out quite a bit. Then I do smearing of red bone all over the plating. For the small plates, I used a brush and tried to do the same technique with the smear. But for the big armor plate on top of this guy, I just smeared it off with a dry brush, and it gives these pretty decent streaks. Then it's a Dead World Forest for the trims, and everything is super tiny on these models, which is kind of what I like about them. They're quite easy to paint, but also quite difficult. And yeah, I use Dead World Forest for all the trims. Also around the tiny plates on the body. It was hard to get good footage of that, so you just have to believe me or wait for the end. Even though it is a tiny model, you can still do a little bit of highlighting, and I decided to do that with Death Guard. So the raised areas got a light touch, and the rims as well. I used a famous technique of wiping things off with my finger. So that's that. Yeah, but a light highlight with the Death Guard green. It adds some detail no one will ever see. Then I go in with the trash metal to to pick out the metal parts. And there were some vents on the armor that I decided to give a slight spin. And as you can see on the shoulder plates, it kind of gunked up a little bit, but I don't feel like it disturbed a lot of details. Another thing that is worth mentioning is that it kind of seems very clumsy and patchy, the paint right now. That is, well, in my experience, is pretty hard to avoid when you're painting such a tiny model with that many details. Bright bronze around on the skeleton or the metal parts. Generally, I just picked out spots where I thought it would look nice, and it's to break up the metal and add a little bit of detail. I don't think it's a necessary step, but I decided to do it because, well, I had time and I wanted to do a good job. Back to my point. Even though things look kind of messy, as soon as you add the wash, that will creep into all the crevices where the different colors of paint meet each other and kind of join them. So visually, it doesn't end up as messy as it looks before you add the wash. And since this is Death Guard, they're supposed to be kind of dirty. So yeah, that's a perfect excuse just to slap some wash on it. I use light gray wash from Vallejo. It's really thin. So it will creep into all the crevices, as you can see here. It actually looks pretty decent. I decided to paint their faces red. I don't know why. I kind of wanted to break up the monotone of just having two main colors besides the metal. So I wanted to do something. And the missiles were going to become red anyway. So I thought, hey, why not paint the heads red as well? And I kind of liked how they ended up looking. It's definitely not the worst job I've ever done. And then Abaddon Black, and that is for selected wires. So the wires or hoses that didn't look like it were metal, I gave them a layer of Abaddon Black, simply again to break up the silver white theme and add a little bit more interest or stuff to look at the model. And it didn't take a lot of time, and I kind of feel like it did do well, maybe not a big difference, but it did do a difference, so it was time well spent. Finally, as the last thing, red tone from the army painter for the head and missiles. And again, I'm using the washes to bring out the details and dirty things up. So, like a detailed and dirty. That's how I roll apparently. So that's a thing. And that was pretty much it. So definitely not perfect, but I feel like this was definitely a better job than the Reaver Titan. I'm actually considering painting that one again, or buy a new one and then paint that one. Yeah, I might do that. Hey, it's Christmas, I deserve something nice. Anywho, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this and found some of it useful. If nothing else, just had fun listening to me ramble about. If you haven't done so already, please do subscribe and leave a like if you like the video. Else, leave a dislike and then I will not be showing up in your feed and everyone's happy. Also, the dislike actually helps me. It's a long story. Algorithms are weird. Have an awesome Sunday, and I will see you next week for some Tyranids. And maybe League of Wotan. And maybe some Star Wars Legion. I have a lot of stuff lying around.